Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritually Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a fast look at the lunar eclipse energy in Virgo. Now, please note how I said fast. A couple of quick little things. One, this is the fourth attempt to me to record this, and what little bit of voice I had back is now gone because we are having massive windstorms here in Oklahoma. So I am now at 3 o'clock in the afternoon trying to record this once my internet and stuff came back up. So I'm gonna blast through this as fast as possible. That means I'm not gonna do cards, and I'm sorry about that, but it's the only way I can make sure I get through this stuff really, really quickly. Number two, sessions are still on discount. An hour-long session with me is $35. A 90-minute session with me is $50. You go to the website, www.thespirituallyboujee.com, go to astrological consultations, and the very first one that says one-on-ones has a little note next to it saying that it is on discount until March 31st. That is the one that you need to click to get the discounted rate. If you click the other ones, you're paying their full price for that reading. So if you're one of the discounted reading, make sure you click that. There's only so much time left in the month of March, and there's only so many readings left in the month of March. So some of you might be actually booking into April and May, which is fine with me. But if you want the discounted rate, get it booked ASAP. The reason there's so limited bookings left in this month is one, of course, a lot of people have taken me up on the sessions that are already there. But two, it's because when I have events like I do this week and the last week of March, I don't have the ability to do the Zooms one-on-one because I have to travel. This weekend, there is a local event here in the Tulsa area at the Case Community Center in Sand Springs, where I will be doing in-person readings for people. So you can come visit with me. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to I think it's like 4:30 p.m. I will be there all day long for in-person readings, and then of course whoever else I meet during that time frame, come see me there. Later this month, I will be in Conway, Arkansas for the Enchanted Metaphysical event, and that's going to be a 3-day weekend. And I will be there again all that entire weekend. So if you want time with me during this eclipse season, during Venus retrograde, during the Mercury retrograde, you need to book those things ASAP, because if the option is already taken, then it's gone. Beyond that, though, I have other events that I'm doing this month that are also taking up part of my time. So I only have so much opportunity left to meet with people in the month of March. So if you're wanting those discounted rates, get them booked before the end of the month. But if you're wanting to meet with me this month, get them booked ASAP, because there's not many options left remaining. Okay, now moving along. Let's try to speed through this eclipse. And again, I'm sorry for not doing cards. I've tried to do it a couple of times. You guys can hear my voice. This is still not 100%. So let's move forward. The Virgo eclipse is the first in this eclipse season, but it is not the first eclipse in this axis. It's not. And a lot of the vibration that we're going into is 6 months in the making, whenever we had the first eclipse on the Pisces side. Now, I've talked about this once before. We're still in a similar vibration to the things that have kind of occurred throughout the new moon in Pisces. But now it's coming to a bigger peak. And when it comes to this next month of eclipse season, which is starting with this Virgo lunar eclipse, it is a month of gauntlet-like changes, transformation, reprogramming, rethinking, reshaping, revisiting, some people having people come back around, old relationships, old loved ones, old coworkers, old people that we used to take care of coming back around in some way because of what this represents. Now, again, this is the first eclipse in this season, but it is the second eclipse in this series of Pisces Virgo. So we're kicking something off. We're kicking something into a high notch going through this eclipse, but we also have to pay attention to immediately following the lunar eclipse, the ruler of Virgo, Mercury, is going to go retrograde within the same 24-hour period. They're exactly 24 hours apart. Eclipse perfected, 24 hours later, Mercury goes retrograde. Now, there's a bit of a trifecta vibration going on. And whenever we look at the energy right now, we're looking at an eclipse in Virgo, an eclipse in Mercury's sign. Mercury is in Mars's sign. Mars is in the moon's sign. So we have this trifecta where Mercury's in the moon's, Mercury's in Mars's sign, Mars is in the moon's sign, the moon is in Mercury's sign. So we have a lot of cardinal energy, starting instigative energy, and mutable energy. Therefore, it is transferable. It is transitioning. It is moving. This is a transitional eclipse energy. Considering immediately after it, we go into a Mercury retrograde, this energy is going to take the entire month, some even 2 months, to completely reshape. Some it's going to be even longer than that. It's not going to completely take shape until the next set of eclipses that are going to happen later this year in the fall. We're in a transitional energy of making changes and considering it as encompassing and being hosted by a stationing Mercury that will go retrograde. There's a series of events, reactions, and changes that are going to be made. They are going to be communicated. They are going to be encompassed. They are a part of the plan. They are a part of the journey, because whenever it comes to Mercury, we have to remember Mercury rules our logical brain, how we process things, how we think about things. Certain things that have previously been communicated, previous ways that we have communicated, previous ways that we have done things are going to change. They're a necessary part of the change in the vibration. For some people, it's an exciting change. You know what you're doing. You're making an active choice to do this change. For others, it is an unexpected change because Uranus is making an aspect to this eclipse. The sun will hit an exact sextile to Uranus. Uranus is in a trine to the actual eclipse. The Uranian vibration speaks to either exciting changes, technological changes for some, unexpected changes for others. I can definitely tell you this windstorm going on was not a part of my plan. So I'm going with some unexpected ones in the immediate moment. Now, there are a multitude of dynamics that come through in this eclipse season. One, we're in the first eclipse, and it is a full moon eclipse. Full moon speaks to completions, but it's the first. It's the first in this vibration. It's the first eclipse in Virgo. So not many people will necessarily be dealing with immediate vibration of ending, but some are going to be coming to a peak in a plan, a peak, a turning point in the vibration that now needs to be tested. Some of you will be making active choices to test something out, test the technology, test the tenacity, test the plan. Some of you are going to be getting tested, and you're going to buck the system. You're going to be bucking at what's going on because you're not going to agree with the changes. Whenever we think of what Virgo represents, this takes me back to what I talked about in the Meditative Rant when I talked about the nodes going through Virgo and Pisces. And that is, Virgo has to be of service. How I care for myself, how I care for other people, what is my process, what is the routine. And there will be interruptions in the process, in our routines, interruptions in the logistics, interruptions in travel, interruptions in plans. For some, it's a necessary interruption because, again, we have to do a tenacity test through eclipse season, through the Mercury retrograde, and through the Venus retrograde. considering Mercury will be following Venus the entire time. For those that have heard me talk about this before, they came into a conjunction earlier this week. Mercury stalled, stunted, stopped moving. There was a shock to the system, a shock in communication, a shock in the plan. And now when he turns retrograde, he will follow Venus. And they will stay anywhere between 2 and 4 degrees apart. 1 and 4 degrees apart the entire time. And Mercury will be going over something, following. Many of us are going to be having an active mindset of like we're tracking something every single day. We're watching something every single day. We're watching someone every single day, trying to make something happen, make something come clear, make something take shape in this vibration. There's a plan in motion. There's certain things that are rolling out. Now, the one thing that I will say, regardless of what Aries rules for you, given the fact that Mercury and Venus are going to be retrograde simultaneously, some of the tests in this vibration are going to be the kinds of people that come back around. Old relationships for some, old business partners for others, old lessons coming back around. Sometimes it will be the same lesson in a new face just to see if you can tell the difference, if you're still going to get triggered and fall into the same routine, even if it's a new person. And this energy, again, is loaded with tests to make sure you are thinking clearly before we progress into the full aspects of the new that are coming through. Where we land at the end of April and what we start to set into late April, all through May, June, July, going into the summer, we are landing into a new normal, a new routine, a new idea, a new way of doing things, a new way of making money. We're landing somewhere very, very new. And for that new to be solid, for that new to be able to progress the way that we desire it to progress, there are changes that have to be made. And we're in those changes. Now that Mercury is retrograde, now that we've gone into eclipse season, they're 24 hours apart, so I'm just counting them at the same time in my head. We are now in the gauntlet of energy, of change, of transformation, of tests, of going back over things. And again, where we land on the other side of all of this is going to be our new normal moving forward. A new normal in how we care for ourselves, how we make money, how we are of service, what we do in our routine, what we do in our work. The logistics will change. Certain plans are going to change. But it's not all going to happen during the eclipse. And that's where people get stuck sometimes. They're like, well, the eclipse was on this day and everything happened like a week later. That makes sense. It's eclipse season. Mercury will be retrograde for 3 weeks, March 15th to April 7th. Venus's retrograde is for 40 days, March 1st to April 12th. There's going to be more than one thing going on. More than one idea, more than one agenda. There's a series of reactions, a series of changes, a series of new things coming through, being reshaped, revised, redone, renegotiated, restructured, revamped. For a lot of people, it will be a part of their image because of Venus. For many, many people, this will be things that impact the health. I'm dealing with a Venus retrograde in my 6th house of health. She's taken all she can from this general area. It happens. Mercury can also have impacts to the health. Remember, Mercury rules anything on your body that is in duality, as well as your intestinal health. And there can be things tied to people's health that is majorly brought to the surface throughout the entirety of eclipse season. This is the peak point. This is the start, but this is not the end all be all. And some of the things that are going to come through over these next few weeks will not be the plan we thought we were going to have based off of the shift that is coming through. You will have to make strategic changes because of what gets presented and the people that come back around and the situations that come to the surface. There will be necessary changes throughout this entire time frame. And if you know that going into it, it's going to make it a lot easier to deal with. Okay, I'm going to try to bust through signs as fast as possible. Hopefully, power and internet will stay on. So let's look at this. For Aries and Aries risings, this is a full moon eclipse in your 6th house of health, while Mercury, the ruler of this eclipse, is turning retrograde in your 1st house of your mind, your body, your identity, your ego, you. There's a couple different ways that I can see this coming together. One, because of Venus's retrograde, there's something that has now interrupted your routine, that is now emphasizing an issue in your health because you have been affected by another person or you were infected by another person because Venus rules that 7th house of the other. Some of you are going to have some things that really test you as an individual. Now, why do I say that? Because again, Venus is retrograde in your 1st house. And some of the tests that are going to come back through, if they're not health related, they can be work related, and they can put you into situations later where you're going to be discovering what people have been doing and saying behind your back. Some of you are also going to be going through situations where the other person's energy is going to teach you lessons of what you need to let go of. Now, the bottom line, whenever it comes to Aries risings, is you guys are changing as individuals. Your energy is changing so dynamically. And that's why I know some of you are going through the health stuff. But others, the test has been more along the lines of what you're no longer willing to settle for in other people. But some of those people are going to come back and test your boundaries. And some are even going to push you into another form of depression and isolation when those 2 retrograde planets end up going back into Pisces. Now, that doesn't start until the end of the month, going into April, but that does not mean anything. The tests are here and now. Now, some of you, if you were dealing with nothing but health stuff, that might be a saving grace, because that doesn't mean you're going to be nearly as clued into the other people trying to come back around. You'll miss those calls. You'll miss those messages. That's not a bad thing. But so much of this energy speaks to something going on in your work, something going on in your health, something going on in the routine that is changing you. And what starts to come through later is going to really change a lot of your levels of your personality. So whenever you're having people come back around, because you're going to have people, a lot of you are. Some of those people that are coming back around, they're going to test to see if you're still going to repeat the same lessons from before. You don't need to. You need to stay focused on what's best for you. And knowing that as you level up as an individual, as you start to take shape and stepping into the new things that you want, if they're not a whole ass person on their own, you don't need to carry them. All right, moving this along. For Taurus and Taurus risings, this is a full moon in your 5th house. Love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, and children. Some of you are having some things going on with your children. Some of you are going to be having some things going on behind your back. You don't even know your kids are up to no good, but it's going to come out later. It's going to come out over the course of this retrograde. Shit's going to hit the fan. And one of the things I've said to you guys for a while with Venus in your 12th is the fact that you got to get real comfortable with being uncomfortable right now. Venus is in your 12th. Now, Uranus is in your 1st house, and it's making an aspect to this full moon. And part of that vibration speaks to You doing something different in your routine, in your plans, in your creative practice. For some of you, you don't have kids, so it's creativity. Some of you are going to have some people come back around that they need to be shut down, but it's going to be hard to shut every one of them down. The people that try to come back through. Baby, I'm so sorry I did these things and I want to make it better and I want to make it right. Don't do it. That's a test. And it won't take long for their true colors to come right back through and then to start doing the things that they used to do. They're going to do it. Can't teach an old dog new tricks all the time. Some are going to sit here and be like, I've worked on my healing. I've done everything that I possibly can to be a better person. Okay, good for you. I hope so. But for some of you, it's not all true. And if you let them back in, it won't take very long. You'll see the other side of them. Now, some of you are going to get into situations in the weeks ahead of having to make decisions to either walk away from certain people, walk away from certain things, walk away from your loved ones. You have to get real comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to be real comfortable with making the decision to cut some people off. Some of those decisions might be because of financial reasons. You can't afford to keep carrying their weight and carrying their drama and carrying their bullshit. It's not what's best for you. With your chart ruler being retrograde in your 12th house, hidden enemies will not stay hidden for long. And once Mercury is a part of the retrograde energy and following Venus, you're going to have those inklings of like, I feel the things going on behind my back. And it's going to make you aware again, even more so, of what you need to let go of, who you need to let go of, so you can go into a different direction. Now, with Uranus finally moving in your first house, you're finally able to feel some kind of relief to move forward into something. But before you can move in forward into something new, you're going to have to cut some things off, cut some people off, and let some people go. That's not going to be easy for all of you, but it's going to be necessary. All right, moving this along. For Geminis and Gemini risings, this is a full moon in your 4th house of home, home life, family, mother, matrons, genetics. Mercury is turning retrograde in your 11th house of friends and network and clients, colleagues, people that you surround yourself with. Some of you are going to be considering a move because of a job opportunity that came from another person. Some of you are getting a job opportunity and you're thinking about the idea of like, I can make this work. And it's going to impact your home life. It's going to impact your family. The decision is yours. With Jupiter in your first, the decision is yours right now, if that's the case. Others are going to be dealing with certain people that care for our family and realizing some of the people that we trusted to care for our family is not necessarily who we thought they were. People that have been taking care of our grandparents, our elders, our mothers, our fathers, our children. Not necessarily who we thought they were. And something will come up that shows you exactly that. I shouldn't have trusted them with my kids. I should have listened to little Johnny when he said something was wrong. I should have heard him. I should have been paying closer attention. And many of you are going to kick yourself for that. Be aware of that. Others are going to be completely changing your opinion about the potential of a relationship, about the potential of another person, of whether you should do something clearly or not. Some of you, you're going to have people in your surroundings, they finally show their true colors, and they're not going to be your friends any longer. Some of you are making so many big changes in your career that it's going to completely change the way that you connect to certain people. Because the product that you sell, the energy that you follow, the things that you're doing, that they are going to change. And as Neptune later moves into Aries, which that follows that Aries eclipse, by the way, but we're setting the stage for a lot of that motion right now. As certain things finally fall into place and take shape, you'll see very, very quickly who's there for you and who's not. People in your surroundings are changing. Some of you are going to be making the decisions to cut some people off. Others are going to be meeting new people that you're not immediately going to see clearly. And then I say, just bide your time and just don't rush into things. All right, moving along. We're going to get to Cancers and Cancer risings. This is a full moon in your third house, short distance travel, communication, marketing, branding, planning. There could be planning to travel. You could already have been traveling, given the fact that Mercury and Venus have already been in your 10th house for a while, and Mars is in your first house. You guys could have already been traveling. But it's like you've finally traveled to the right place, or you get the feedback after getting back from traveling, and it gives you an impression that you want to rethink something, revise something, redo something, or you're going to reschedule some meetings based off of who the people you met while you were traveling. Mercury turning retrograde in your 10th house. A lot of the planning of what you want in regards to your goals, your public image, and the future require your strategic input. Mars is in your first house. A lot of this energy still speaks very deeply to the Aries vibration, and with Mars in your first house, for you to get where you want to go next in your goals and career, that means you're going to have to do some troubleshooting, some rethinking, reshaping, revising in the plan. Now, not all of you are dealing with some big career aspect. And the other thing the 10th house can have to represent is fathers. And there can be something that is going on with the male figures in your life. Your father, the father of your children, uncles, brothers. And you're having to deal with that vibration. That too can come through based off of all the Aries vibrations. There's still something that you're going to be revising and rethinking. And there's a different dynamic of where you want to go next into the future. And again, so many of you, you're wanting to go somewhere different, and you're still having to snap away from certain people because they're not the right people for you to support where you're going next. You still have to make those decisions. You still have to make those judgment calls. You still have to try to get some things handled, knowing that your goals, your desire of what you want to manifest moving forward is hanging in the balance. Do not commit to insanity any longer. Pluto is no longer in Capricorn, and I got to keep reminding you guys of that. And for the future transits of later this year to benefit you the way that you deserve for them to benefit you, that means you have to make the decisions to leave some people behind. And rethinking your friendships, and rethinking certain partnerships, and rethinking some of the plans and the goals, because the people that you are leaning into are more than likely the ones getting in your way. Don't continue to choose the people that create chaos in your cycle, in your circle, in your sanity, okay? We do not commit to the insanity any longer. Okay, moving along. Trying to get these as fast as possible, guys. I'm so sorry. For Leos and Leo risings, this is a full moon eclipse in your second house of money, your assets, your stuff, your belongings. Uranus in your 10th house of career is in a trine to this full moon. Therefore, for some of you, there's business opportunities at hand, the potential of a new position, a new job. There is the potential of a financial bonus coming through, like a production bonus. Everybody got satisfactory reviews. Some of you are going to have layoffs because of Uranus in your 10th house. Some of you are going to get blindsided by this vibration because of how withdrawn you have had to become. And a lot of you, the withdrawing energy has had to do with Mars retrograde in your 12th house. You had to take a step back from certain people. But as you took a step back, you also started to realize some of the people in your surroundings are not who they said they were. That's not an easy pill to swallow. That's not an easy dynamic to deal with. And we need to make a change. Financial changes. So some of you are going to be spending money to make some money. Some of you are going to be having some type of financial agreement of something that impacts that goal for career, impacts that next direction. And afterwards, we're still going to have that reshaping and the restructuring because Mercury is going retrograde in your 9th house. That's higher education and higher learning. Some of you are learning in the moment. You're gaining experience in what you're learning. Some of you are having to put some money towards institutions. You're paying for your degree program. You're paying for some additional training. You're paying for a plane ticket to go somewhere. Mercury retrograde in the 9th. But it's not just a one and done. I'm just going to go for the weekend. It's a quick little holiday. That's not what this vibration speaks to. It's looking at, I'm going to have to go somewhere. But once you're there, it's like seeing this place differently. Like, I could live here. I could survive here. I could get a job here. I could do this differently. And again, there could be some very unexpected goal trajectory changes in this eclipse that take weeks to understand, months to understand. But there's movement in this eclipse. Some of you are going to be, again, mundane effect, spending some money, things costing you money, having something from an authority figure come through and tell you, something's going to impact you differently financially. And that could have came through earlier this week in that Sun-Saturn conjunction in your 8th. Harsh words from an authority figure, harsh words from a boss that just plants the seeds even deeper that you have to make a change in what you're doing and where you're going. But many of you, because of that sun vibration of the Sun-Saturn that happened right before this eclipse, if you're making the change on your own accord, you got pushed into it. Others are looking at, again, spending money to make money, spending money to go somewhere, not realizing how important that destination is going to be. Okay, moving along. Moving along. We're going to get to Virgos and Virgo risings. You're the troublemakers. You're the troublemakers. It's all your fault. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding a little bit. Anyways, full moon eclipse in your first house is changing you, your mind, your body, your identity. Over the next lunar month, you will be choosing so many changes. For some of you, it is a financial sets of changes. For some of you, it's going to be changes in your partnerships and legal agreements. For others, it is going to be partnerships and secrets based off of the fact that Mercury is turning retrograde in a conjunction to Venus in your 8th house. A lot of people don't realize the 8th house can be the house of affairs, secrets, secret affairs. And if we're having issues like that, you can be making a very cognitive decision to reveal certain people's secrets. You can discover that you have been a secret. And you're going to work to change that in the Mercury retrograde. Others, you're not having to deal with affairs and secrets. You're more having to deal with the idea of what you want to do different for yourself and different ways that you make money and the different ways that you connect to other people. Because again, that Mercury retrograde that starts in the 8th house, as much as it can be a secrets house, it's a financial house. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance, investments. And then it's going to go back into the 7th. Some of the people that you have invested in or have invested in you might not remain the same. Some of the business deals that you thought you had figured out might not remain the same. Others will go through troubleshooting through this Mercury retrograde. And you are going to be looking at the results of something every single day, waiting to see how the impact is going to continue. And by the end of it, it speaks to something different in the way that you connect to other people. Because again, Mercury's retrograde is going to go from Aries to that 7th house. You will be making changes. Changes in the way that you make money. Changes in your assets. Changes in the way that you connect to other people. Mercury also rules your 10th house of career. A lot of this will have a public aspect to it. Having certain things get revealed and come to light. Some of those things will be necessary to come to light. Necessary to move forward. But this next lunar month, you are transforming in more than one way. And you will not settle for certain things that you have settled for in the past any longer. Okay, moving this along. For Libras and Libra risings, this is a harder eclipse for you guys. It's the first eclipse in your 12th house. That's the unknown, the unseen, endings, betrayal, hidden enemies, healing, yes. Retreat, yes. But Mercury is turning retrograde in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. Some of you might have something going on with another person that absolutely blindsides you. Some of you might see a change in another person that feels like betrayal. Given that your chart ruler, Venus, is also retrograde in that 7th house, some of you have been so focused on what you're doing in business and your partnerships and what you're trying to move forward in that you don't even realize other people are trying to come back around and close something out with you, get something resolved with you. But this is the start of a vibration, the start of retrogrades, not the ends of them. So you're going to see the turn in other people, the turn in their behavior, the turn in their vibration. And that's not necessarily going to be fun for everybody. Others are going to have a turn in information provided by other people that is blindsiding to you, that is harmful to you. And for many of you, it is going to shift your focus either back to your health or the health of your loved ones, because those retrogrades are going to go back into Pisces. The Sun-Saturn conjunction that happened right before this eclipse was in Pisces. Now, if you've got some health issues going on, it's probably not new. If you've already had scans and other things that you thought were no big deal, something's going to pull you back into them going, hey, this was bigger than you thought. Hey, you probably didn't realize that this was more important than just a quick little update. And it's going to take the other side, the other person, the other people to pull you back down going, hey, this was bigger. Come back over here. And whether you are dealing with something different in your partnerships or in your health, all of it is going to impact the way that you see the future. Now, some of you, this is all going to be legal matters because, again, Mercury is retrograde in the 7th house. Venus is retrograde in the 7th house. And there might be some legal matters that have to start to come to a close through this vibration. You might not like the ending because of the retrogrades. You might not like the way the turnout comes through. Because the other thing about the 12th house can be isolation. You can feel isolated based off of the things that come through, the topics that are spoken, the news that is revealed, especially in the week after the eclipse. You might not like what comes through, but all of it's going to be very, very necessary in putting a different focus on things that you might not want to be revealed, but they're going to get that way. Some of you might be doing the revealing. You might have to deal with the other side, judging you, trying to say you're lying about them, trying to do anything and everything to save face because they're trying to cast shade or judgment over you. Be aware of that. Some of it might impact your work when those retrogrades go back into the 6th, knowing that Mars is still in your 10th house of career. A lot of this can impact the way that you see certain things going into the future, and whether you want to continue to work with certain people into the future, whether some of those people want to work with you into the future. Their opinions can change too. Some of you might have legal ramification issues that impact your public image for the long term. And you need to be prepared for the things that are going to come to light or what you have to reveal. All right, moving along. For Scorpios and Scorpio risings, we are not the problem. We're not. So many of us, we're not the problem. This is an 11th house full moon. Friends, network, clients, colleagues, people that in our community, people that we choose to share our space with. Mercury is turning retrograde in our 6th house of health. Some of us are going to have to step up to do different things to help people in their health, to help people get through their bullshit, to help people in their routine. The thing about Mars in that 9th house is we're still going through some learning lessons. We're learning some things. We're learning through experience. Some of the experience is going to be like seeing some people, seeing some changes going on in the workplace with our friends, with our clients that teach you something completely different. Others, you're going to find yourself helping people get through their shit, and you're the teacher. You're the one helping. You're the teacher. You're the one telling them what to do and how to get through it because you've already done this before. And it's just making other people believe you and listen to you. Now, when those 2 retrogrades get closer to coming back into Pisces, we can have old people coming back around. Some of us are going to have old coworkers coming back around, old clients coming back around. We're going to have that turnaround of people coming back going, I need help. And again, we're going to be the ones helping people get through shit. Putting things in order because of our experience. But what that does for us in the long run is hugely beneficial, especially whenever it comes to finances and where we're going next in our career, in our goals, and in the future. There's a reason some of the people in our surroundings are going to come back around. There's a reason we are learning through experience right now and experiencing things we've never experienced them before. And they're going to have us rethinking what we want to do in our careers and what we want to do in our jobs and how we want to move forward from here and what actually speaks to our heart's happiness. That's going to take some time for us to recognize what's going to make us happy. We're going to have some shit to deal with first. But we are taking on, so many of us, we are taking on other people's shit and helping them get through their stuff and handle their business because we've done it for so long. We know what we're doing. But there's a few of you, you're going through some lessons, and it's letting you know where you have been in your work, in your routine, is not going to remain the same. Things are going to amplify. Things are going to change and shift and progress. Okay, moving this along. We're going to Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings, my loves. This is a full moon eclipse in your 10th house. First and foremost, career, goals, dreams, public image, things along these lines. Many of you are looking at a whole different idea of what you want into the future. And with Mercury being retrograde in your 5th house, it's because you have not been happy waiting for something else to happen focusing on someone else that you shouldn't have been focused on. With your chart ruler, Jupiter being in your seventh house of relationships, a lot of you guys have realized who you decided to focus on last year, what you were focusing on before, doesn't need to be where you focus now. And it's changing your idea of what you want in love, in luck, in romance. For others, there is a creative project that is launching in this eclipse that you have been working on for quite some time that is going to have an impact towards your family. Others, it's mothers versus fathers about the children. The 10th house can also have to do with fathers. One of the things I picked up on my meditation for Sag risings is for some of you, it's like baby daddy is going to try to come back around. I want some time with my kids. I want to be able to do this with my kids. You can't keep me from my kids. I'm not trying to keep you from your kids. Figure it out. And there could be this moment of people trying to come back through that impact your children, that are watching your children, that has to do with the children. And that Venus Mercury retrograde going through your fifth house of children and then into your fourth house, this is not all going to be an easy energy for you guys, especially if you have to deal with some kind of legality aspect of like lawyers coming in or DHS coming in to see what's going on with the kids and with the family. It's not an easy vibration for them. But with Jupiter being in the seventh, that's a big way that this can be. As there can be things tied to legal matters that's impacting the home life and the children. Baby daddy's trying to come back around saying, I want time with my kids. You got to do it. I filed a court order. That can happen too. Somebody trying to pull some bullshit. It's not an easy vibration for the Sag risings. It's really not. And other people can try to pull some bullshit. And they can try to do things to discredit your public image. And you guys need to be prepared for that. But the other side of what's going on can have to do with work and creative projects and doing something different at work, things that are meant to try to make you happy, but they're going to take work to get through. We're going to have to jump through some hoops. But I look at the fact that Mercury also rules that seventh house for you guys, that legal house, that partnership house. And some of the disdain and destruction or frustration that you go through, it might not be yours. It might be from another party trying to cause issues for you. And it makes it hard to stay focused on what makes you happy because you're too busy combating something else. So there can be a lot of frustration around this moon and the weeks of the Mercury retrograde. And again, that's going to be from March 15th to April 7th. Venus's retrograde will not end until April 12th. So a lot of this vibration can be a test from that other side. All right, moving this along. With Capricorns and Capricorn risings, this is a full moon in your ninth house, which that by itself is not a super crazy energy. The desire to travel, some of you might be dealing with institutions, schools, higher forms of authority, going into hospitals, going to talk to authority figures, but you're going to a little institution to talk to that authority figure. You're in the courthouse. Why do I say that? Because Mercury is turning retrograde in your fourth house of home, home life, and family. But the ruler of your fourth, Mars, in that seventh house of relationships and legal battles. So we've got a couple different ways that this can come through. One, there can be something in the home life that is getting completely redone, and we need some kind of legal aspect to be handled. And you might be going into an institution to get a bank loan because you're going to renovate your garage and turn it into a shop, or you're going to build a shop on your property. And you're trying to do something that, again, changes the way that you connect to other people. Many of you feel very drawn to putting something into motion this week because right before this eclipse, we had that Sun-Saturn conjunction. Saturn is your chart ruler. So many of you felt very much like this week, it is time to get business handled, to get something going, to get something adjusted, to get something changed. For some of you, that's creating a space for work, creating a space in your home because somebody else is moving in. For some of you, you're having to deal with some kind of legal aspect because, again, of Mars. You're having to deal with something tied to another person, and it's impacting the home life. Now, in the most mundane sense, this eclipse, it's not heavy. It's ninth house energy. Wanting to travel, wanting to learn something, talking about going back to school, looking at different opportunities, putting a plan together, again, because of something that's in the home life or something that's impacting the family. An opinion of something that is going to change and transform. A plan to change and transform something. Again, Mercury is going to turn retrograde in your fourth house of home life, and family. Some of you might have people coming back around, and it might be actual family members coming back around that you haven't talked to in forever. Oh, there's my aunt. We ain't talked in so long. We haven't talked since Grandpa died. There's my cousin. There's my childhood best friend. There's my neighbor from whenever I was 12 years old. Just suddenly coming back around, finding your ass on Facebook. Oh my God, people coming back. But some of these people coming back can actually be more tied to your family, more so than relationships. Others could be your family members saying, hey, I ran into your ex. Isn't that so funny? I heard about this. I heard about that. I heard something was going on. Isn't that so crazy? And that influence and that energy can impact you. Some of you go into the family cookout this weekend and find out your mom invited your ex. Good luck with that. Good luck with that vibration. It's going to be fun. Others, you have a mission in mind, a mission, a goal that has come through in these few days with that Sun-Saturn conjunction. And you're feeling very driven and motivated and determined to get something going. And the next month is going to be exactly about executing that plan. And it can still have stuff to do with your home life and your household. That execution of what we're trying to accomplish. It can be a very productive eclipse season for you guys if you use it well. Okay, moving along. For Aquarius and Aquarius risings, this is an eclipse in your 8th house. It's a financial eclipse. Immediately before this eclipse, the Sun and Saturn hit a conjunction. Saturn is one of your chart rulers. This eclipse is in a trine to Uranus. Uranus is your other chart ruler. Many of you put some money down this week to do something different that's going to impact the family, but we're not doing something immediately because Mercury is going to go retrograde. We've got to cover some bases. We got to move to a couple of places. We got to travel to a few places to get our ducks in order. We got to go get all the material, get all the gear, get all the stuff, because Mercury and Venus retrograde in your 3rd house, being a travel house. Others, you're having something going on with your siblings. There's something in this regard that has come up. Maybe it's costing you money. They need help fixing something at their house, so they're coming to you to borrow money. You make the decision to go ahead and give it to them, knowing that they might not pay you back for a while. And if you don't know that, then I'm telling you, they might not pay you back for a while. Some of you might be borrowing money from a sibling, and you're not going to be able to pay them back for a while. It happens that way sometimes. Be open in your communication. Be realistic that I don't know that I can pay you back for 2 to 3 months, babe. I'm going to do my best. I'll make small increment payments. Some of you are having to put out some additional money for your car. Mercury retrograde in your 3rd house and it being a travel house, you might literally be having to do auto repairs that you weren't necessarily planning on. Extra expenses tied to the cars, tied to your autos. That's a big possibility. Others, with the fact that Mars is in your sixth house when Mercury's turning retrograde, while Venus is retrograde in Mars assigned in that third. Some of you are going to have to be communicating some of the issues that have either been going on in your health or going on in your workplace. And as soon as we communicate those issues, it allows for something to finally change, transform, and other opportunities to come through. But it'll be a series of opportunities, a series of reactions, a series of moments, because the Mercury retrograde again is until April 7th. Venus is retrograde until April 12th. So there's a series of things that follow the decisions that we've made going into this eclipse. Be prepared that it is a series of decisions. Okay, let's get it going. For Pisces and Pisces risings, this is a full moon eclipse in your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, legal matters, the other side. Somebody else needs to get their shit together. And for that to happen, you might have to put some money out. Mercury turning retrograde in your second house of money. Some of you might be finalizing a legal contract. And it's, again, something you're having to put money into because Venus, the ruler of your eighth house, Mercury, the ruler of that seventh house of relationships, is in your second house of money turning retrograde. We got to spend money to make money for a lot of people. There can be a relationship coming to an ending, coming to a close, a partnership coming to an ending, coming to a close, and financial elements tied to it because of Mercury turning retrograde in your second house of money. Some of you are going to have to finally close out something tied to a legal matter, and you're going to get the payout with Venus in that second house of money. But it's like as soon as you get the payout, you also have to go follow right behind it and pay a bunch of other things, pay off other people, finalize some stuff within the household, pay off some bills, pay off the loan. There's something about payoffs and payouts. A lot of you are going to have something that blindsides you from that other person, that they're making a very unexpected change. And it's going to put more weight and responsibility onto you in these next few weeks. Why do I say that? Because the retrograde that's starting right now, by the time we get to the next eclipse, these planets will be moving into your first house. So there'll be things coming back around, falling onto your plate. But some of those decisions are being made right now. And you might not realize they're going to end up on your plate. You might not realize that you're going to have some extra things show up.